What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Gifted Gamer 204 back at it again, and yes, you guessed right. Today we got another banger for y'all, man. So if you're new to the channel, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that share button as we keep on rolling into today's video. So y'all see the thumbnail, right? Y'all see what's going on, right? Check this out. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting me, man. I appreciate all the love, man. For real talk. Let's keep growing, man. Let's keep going. Check this out. We're going to get right into this. So as we see here, Baldur's Gate 3 on PS5 is essentially the same as PC versions on Ultra settings. Okay? You're not reading that wrong. Okay? Check this out. If you're trying to decide whether you should be playing Baldur's Gate 3 on PlayStation 5 or PC and are feeling a little bit daunted by the specification requirements on PC, don't panic. It's been tested and confirmed by those over at Eurogamer that the settings on PlayStation 5 are essentially the same as the settings on PC if you were to play it on Ultra. Of course, many people are unable to do so as the game is very graphically intensive. The world is expansive and there are a lot of visual effects that you need to contend with. Baldur's Gate 3 has been out on PC for quite a while, and since the start of its release, there have been a number of fixes to work on, making the performance of the game better for rigs of all capabilities. While there was some concern about how Baldur's Gate 3 will run on PC, it's been confirmed that it runs fine in Act 3, but it suffers some of the same issues that the PC version does. Okay? While the game is very obvious tailored with a keyboard and mouse in mind, the game works just fine with a controller on both PS5 and PC. At the start of the game, it's quite tolerable. And although it looks a little bit odd, it works. However, the more abilities and items you unlock and use, the more complicated your radial menus will get, which can make the interface incredibly overwhelming. Excuse me, man. I don't know what's going on with me this Saturday morning. But check this out. This is interesting. I didn't really know. When you playing a game on PC and you're using a keyboard and mouse, I've heard it from some PC gamers that the game actually runs smoother and you can actually the gameplay feels much better than playing with a controller. And this is another thing. You need to know how to, if you're a real PC gamer, you're going to be playing just like it's saying right here, with a mouse and keyboard in hand, not with a controller. Okay, so let me keep going because I have something else I need to touch on. Okay, let's see here. 1440. I wanted to get to this part right here. Okay. Although this doesn't really affect the performance of the game on PS5 in any way, it does make it a little bit more finicky to work with. Visually, the PS5 version is very similar to that on PC, and it looks almost the same as how it would if the game was being played on PC in Ultra settings. Compared to other games on the console, this comes as quite a surprise. As explained in the article by Eurogamer, there are only two options available for image quality on PS5. With the game being native to 1440p with no signs of reconstruction or dynamic resolution. If you're unsure whether you should be playing this game in quality or performance mode, it doesn't really make much of a difference. Okay, and I'm gonna end it right there. Basically, this game is running just the same as it is on a PC in Ultra settings. And let me tell you something. This is the base PS5. Baldur's Gate 3 got a PS5 Pro enhanced patch to it. So that native 1440, you best believe that's already going up to 4K with the PSSR on it. So think about how incredible that game must look on the Pro. Think about it with everything that I just read to you right now. Think about it. And this is not an old game, so I don't want to hear, oh, this game is old. This game came out last year. We're not talking old, like we talking about, you know, some Grand Theft Auto 5. That's old. If this article was telling me something like that, like, you know, running Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto 5, you know, games like that are old, that's a different story. This game came out last year, so it's relatively new. It's running all the new technology that we have in today's world. So you think about that. Okay? When I keep showing you, you know, all these videos comparing, you know, the Pro to a PC, as far as the price range is what I'm trying to get to you. This is all I'm trying to say. Whenever you see me comparing something from a PS5 Pro to a PC, I'm bringing it to you from a price point. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that a console is gonna be better than a high-end PC. I'm not telling you that. I'm bringing you these things from a price point. What are you going to get from paying $700 as opposed to $3,500? That's all I'm doing. Now, after reading that, how do you feel? You see what I'm saying? That's the thing that I'm talking about. Now we're gonna continue on. Let's shoot over to this article right here. The PS5 Pro is a smaller leap than the PS4 Pro, says Dev. PSSR is better than AMD FSR, on par with DLSS XESS. Okay. Gaijin Entertainment has not one but two games in hands for Sony's newly released PS5 Pro console at launch. The first-person tactical multiplayer World War II shooter Enlisted, originally released in 2020, and the vehicle combat multiplayer game War Thunder, which has been continuously updated since 2013. To learn how both games have been improved to leverage the most powerful console hardware currently on the market, we interviewed Gergo Horvath, a graphics programmer on Gaijin's proprietary Dagger engine for over 4 years. Horvath admitted that the PlayStation 5 Pro's improvement over the PS5 is smaller than that seen in the previous generation between the PS4 Pro and the PS4, but he believes the console achieves its goal anyway, mainly thanks to PSSR, which he reckons is superior to AMD's FSR, and on the same level of NVIDIA's DLSS and Intel XESS. This is absolutely incredible. Keep in mind the PC. Okay, just keep it in mind. It's already superior, not even just better. It's superior to AMD's FSR, and it's on the same level of NVIDIA's DLSS and the Intel XESS. Keep all that in mind. Keep everything in mind. Okay. Now here they did a Q&A things with him, asking the graphics developer. This is what he's talking about, the PS5 Pro's hardware. So while the 45% faster rendering is impressive alone. The real game changer, in my opinion, is the addition of the machine learning architecture that made PSSR possible. By being able to render in lower resolutions and yet get the same visual fidelity, we can free up a tremendous amount of resources. This tech will be especially useful when paired with ray tracing. I mean, this is so genius. Shout outs to Mark Cerny, man. Shout outs to Mark Cerny, man, because this is unbelievable. This is what I'm saying. And this is exactly what DLSS does in all those videos I've been showing you about PC without the DLSS button when he turns it on. Remember all that? That I told you that DLSS button has to be turned on? That without it, the game runs horribly. Remember all that? This is the same thing. So now they're saying that a game developer doesn't need to focus so much on the graphics part of the game, because they know now that with PSSR, it's automatically going to upscale it to 4K. Are you understanding what's happening here? They don't even have to worry about that no more. That means they can make their games, you know, at 1080p native, 1440p native. They're now shifting their focus on other things that they always wanted to do, developing that game. That's incredible to a game developer. That is so much. It helps them so much. They can take the game far beyond, you know, their expectations now. They can do so many things now with their games that they're developing. It can free up a tremendous amount of resources. Think about that. Now he talks about the Pro and the PS4. You know why he doesn't think the PS5 to the PS5 Pro is that big of a leap when the PS4 did to the PS4 Pro. Now the difference is, you know, the GPU, the T-flops, and all these things were different. But let me explain something to you, right? I'm gonna show you this. I'm gonna show you why this developer is saying that. Okay, I'm gonna show you why, and here it is. So these are the specs, right? Both consoles shared AMD Jaguar 86 to 64 8-core CPU, which has seen a 30% boost in clock speeds from 1.6 gigahertz to 2.1 gigahertz based on its predecessor. Okay, now check this out. Meanwhile, the GPU has seen much bigger performance increase on the PS4 Pro. Its power has been doubled, and its clock speed has been boosted from 800 megahertz to 911 megahertz. In total, the GPU has jumped from 1.84 T-flop in the launch of the PS4 to 4.2 T-flops in the Pro. You see that difference? Look at that difference from 1.8 to 4.2. That's a huge difference. This bump is in order to accommodate the new 4K functionality. Now we get into the good stuff, okay? We get into the good stuff. This is talking about the Pro has an additional 1 gigabyte of DDR3 RAM used for non-gaming apps to free up the faster GDDR5 RAM for gaming performance. Okay, now this is where the leap happened right here. Okay, this is where it happened, and this is why that game developer is saying that the PS4 Pro saw much more of a leap rather than the PS5 Pro. And this is why. That's why you hear. This is why I'm bringing you all this. This is why you watching me, because this is what I do right here. I explain things to you. This is what I do. To the best of my knowledge, this is what I do right here. Now, this is the big one. The main reason it's worth making the jump from the original hardware to the PS4 Pro. The PS4 Pro supports 4K output. Excuse me, sorry about that. So, as opposed to the standards PS4 Full HD 1080p resolution. When it comes to streaming services such as Netflix, this means that the console is able to play movies and TV shows in their maximum resolution. But unfortunately, the lack of the Ultra HD Blu-ray drive means that the console will not be able to play physical 4K media, but it will play your streaming devices such as Netflix 4K resolutions that those Netflix shows have and things of that nature. But this is why it was such a big leap. The PS4 was only doing full HD 1080p. So we finally see the jump from 1080p to 4K resolution, and this is the difference. See, the PS5 already shows 4K resolution. That's why he's not seeing the difference natively. So this is why I'm a little on the fence with what that game developer was saying, because him as well is not explaining the full story. You see what I'm saying? But this is why I'm here, and this is the full story right here. This is why he mentions that. It's because of this. This is the first time we start seeing 4K in video games. Now we talking. Anyway, man, I got one more thing. Y'all see the thumbnail, right? And let me see. What did he show here? Let me see something. Here he just shows the Spider-Man game. He shows like the Pro versus the PS4 and things like that. But I'm gonna leave this article in the description, so in case y'all want to read that and take a look at it, y'all could go ahead and do that. Okay, now I want to show you something else. Hi
DF, it is easy to get used to something better, while it is hard to go back to something
Let me
worse.
forward this.
Point your OLED monitor, John. The very long cross-gen period has led to current gen owners getting used to 60 FPS in games. Do you think they will want to go back? I think the genie's out of the bottle, and that many gamers may prioritize 60 FPS over better visuals. Thus, 30 is increasing. And there is that variability there, then that is problematic.
Now listen here.
So I want to say about this one, since you guys already covered 2 things or 3 things that are really relevant to both of these questions. The second question from Technodan is making an assumption about essentially that just because a game can run at 30 FPS at a slightly higher resolution with ray tracing on, that you just turn on the resolution and you'll get 60 FPS. And people always assume 1080p. We have seen now, for some reason, people always say 1080p as if it's the lowest qualifier. But man, look at those games that are running on like really hard and really hard to run on these current gen consoles like Jedi Survivor or Forspoken. And they're going down there, man. They're going down there to 720p, and they don't care, you know? So it is not going to be 1080p. Let me tell you that much.
They're going down to even to 720p. This is that thing that they talking about performance. When you picking performance mode, when you have to choose between fidelity and performance, that everybody just assumes that once you go to performance, it's going to be 60 frames, but the resolution is going to be 1080p. That's what he's talking about. And that everybody just assumes that. But now he's talking about how there's games out there that drop even below the 1080p when you pick performance mode to 720. And people are just not realizing that. They just think automatically 1080p. No. This is how powerful that PS5 Pro is. You just got to listen. You got to get out that mindset of that fanboy mindset and just thinking negative all the time, and just pay attention and listen. Let's keep going.
much. And it's also not going to be anything that has to do with resolution. I would bet you 100% that at launch, both Jedi Survivor and Forspoken were dipping, probably due to CPU as well too, because those resolutions were going down, but you didn't see a great performance uplift necessarily because they were probably CPU limited to a certain degree. And I think that is a thing that maybe requires video on the channel, is that people are just constantly assuming that you drop resolution and that everything's fine. You can just get any game running at anything. And it's like, no, there are multiple bottlenecks beyond that. So maybe that is a video to do for the channel, but I don't think even dropping every game to 1080p or lower is going to get them to 60 FPS constantly.
Mm-hmm. I think, we'll get the games we'll get is the bottom line, and people will generally be okay with it.
Hey,
because
as has always been the case, 60 FPS remains a design choice. If a developer
absolutely.
wants 60, if they want 120, the hardware is there to do it. They can always hit that target. It is very, very possible. It's just what else you're doing around the game.
I'm gonna run that back because I know you're not paying attention. Listen right now. What John says. Check this out. Listen.
If they want 120, the hardware is there to do it. Hey,
because
as has always been the case, 60 FPS remains a design choice. If a developer wants 60, if they want 120, the hardware is there to do it. They can always hit that target. It is very, very possible. It's just what else you're doing around the game and what you want to do with it that determines whether you can hit it.
Now, he said that it is always possible for the developer to aim at 60 FPS because why? Because the hardware is there to do it. Meaning that the hardware that we got now, Xbox Series X and PS5 and PCs, those particular hardware, they're made for that. That means those hardwares could withstand the 60 frames per second game that you're trying to develop. That's what the hardware is there for. Now, I share that video with you, right? Because it brings me over here to this. I was looking up what was the first game to run at 30 frames per second. Now, all this goes back. Even games back to the PS2, PS3 days. It all depends on the developer. There's games back then that are running 60 frames per second. There's games that are running 30 frames per second. It all depends on the developer, on what that developer wants to do with that game. But being that we're in 2024, going into 2025, with these next generation consoles that, as you heard John and Digital Foundry say, that are very much capable of running 60 frames per second with no problem. So it makes you wonder, why would you want to make your game 30 frames per second when you have the hardware to run your game at 60 frames with no issues? I don't understand that. You're gonna have to answer that question for me, because I don't know the answer to that. Now, you see what the funny thing is here? I asked this question on Google and there isn't much information, but look what games comes out right below it. I mean, my goodness. I didn't do it. Google did it for me. I didn't do it. I just put that question in there and this is what it gave me. I can't type that in right under, like, no, I can't do that. I didn't do that. The first person fantasy RPG allowed will be running at 30 frames per second on the Series X and S. The developer Obsidian chose 30 frames to allow more detailed visuals and lighting effects because they felt that 60 frames per second wasn't necessary for a single player game. I mean, damn. Now, how do you just assume that 60 frames per second isn't necessary for a single player game? I don't understand that. I don't. I'm having such a hard time I mean, yo, this is incredible. This is unbelievable. Now, let me read you this Reddit. Somebody left this comment on Reddit. Okay. Oh, this too right here. Look, I was about to skip this. I'm sorry. For modern games, 30 frames per second is generally considered the minimum acceptable frame rate. This is true even for games developed for platforms with limited specs, like the Switch or the Steam Deck. Now, that's acceptable for the Switch and the Steam Deck. Why? Because that hardware cannot run 60 frames per second. Those hardwares are limited in specs. The Series X is not limited to 30 frames per second. You could push that thing. You could push it just as much as you could push the PS5. You could push it. Now check this out. I just happened to click this. 30 frames is unacceptable from first-party developers. This is just unacceptable from a first-party game. You made this game for your console. If you are running it on 30 frames per second, then why would other developers optimize their games for you? You clearly don't give a F in the first place. You are basically telling the developers that you don't care about performance when your first-party games run like crap. There is literally no reason to not sell the Xbox and buy a PS5. Their games are better and they clearly know how to utilize their console. I know that some of you grew up with older hardware and don't mind the 30 frames per second. You will literally accept anything as long as it's on Game Pass. Stay out of this. Your blind support to this company is what brought us here. I mean, damn. I couldn't have said this any better. I couldn't. This person hit it right on the head. Hit the nail right on the head. I mean, bullseye. And they are absolutely correct. This is a first party. We get it with the third party gamers. If developers, if they want to do their 30 frames or whatever, it's on them. But a first party, meaning the reason you want me to buy your console because of your first parties for your console is absolutely disgusting. I'ma leave this Reddit post in the comment section in the section below, so you can go ahead and read it yourself, because that is absolutely disgusting. It's crazy. Meanwhile, you look at this right here. Oh yeah, this is on the PS5 Pro. This is the Crew Motorfest. PSSR technology. 4K upscaled. Running at 60 frames per second. Yep. There it is. Costing you $700. Look at that picture. Look at that picture. What a thing of beauty. I mean, it is unbelievable. Shout out to Mark Cerny, the GOAT. Anyway, man, if y'all stay with me this long, I appreciate you. Thank you for your support. We growing. I see a lot of hate, but it's all good. It ain't gonna stop me. So funny, man. You see, I pray to the Most High. I pray to God. So all them negative comments I'm seeing already, and I'm just a small content creator. See, it might not encourage people to continue moving forward. It might discourage a lot of people, but not me. See, my faith is strong, and I'm seeing right through everything, and I'm going straight forward. Straight. Like that car you see right there in that image. That car probably going 120 miles per hour. And that's the same way I'm going. With PSSR. Anyway, man. It's your boy, the gifted one here, man. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. I'm gone.